Good energy, though.
Great.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of True Grit. And this might be my greatest journalistic hack of all time. I've managed to actually get the founder of a company who've just made probably one of their biggest announcements of all time about a deal that they've just struck with the UFC. And not only am I excited to sort of talk, we're going to meet Todd in a moment, but I've never been so excited to finish this as well, because straight after it, I'm going to be eating my lunch, which is this beautiful Chipotle chicken and lime meal that I've been enjoying with my family the last few weeks. So Icon meals, look, they're fresh, affordable, it's time-saving, really nutritious. It's been a great sort of thing for me with my back-to-back Zoom meetings all day, but knowing I can throw something straight into the microwave and it's brilliant. It's been amazing. So I'm lucky and excited to have the CEO and co-founder, Todd Abrams, live on the cast today. Now, Todd is recognized as a real hands-on entrepreneur. His problem-solving and leadership style is sort of well-known, likes to initiate change, build consensus, but ultimately get stuff done. It's no wonder Icon Meals has been such a massive success, and really, amazing that they've had this great deal as the delivery partner for the UFC that they literally just announced a few minutes ago. So on this sort of stream today, we'll literally be talking about getting him to share the big idea central to why did they start the business, and then some of the toughest challenges that they've incorporated along the way. Here we are. Todd, how you doing, man? So good to have you on.
Good, Barry. Appreciate you having me on. It's a pleasure to be on the broadcast with you.
Oh, look, first of all, massive congratulations on signing the deal with the UFC. Obviously I'm Irish. I wish Conor McGregor ate more healthy meals and came out fighting when he needed to. But congratulations there. Massive moment for the team, I'm sure.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's like you said, fresh off the release. It was actually released yesterday, but it's been I'll call it a journey on its own, right? So a lot of different legwork over the past, I'll call it 8 months, but it's happy to be partnered with them and look forward to some big things in the coming years.
No doubt. So tell us a little bit about Icon Meals, but more interesting, a little bit of yourself, right? Because you didn't start in the meal business, right? Like you're one of these entrepreneurs who've sort of worked in a few different areas. So give us a little bit of your origin story and then how you came to the notion of Icon Meals.
Sure. Yeah. So originally, not from the States. So I've been in Texas quite a while, but originally from Canada. So if you hear any outs and abouts in the house, that's where that comes from. But so I grew up in a different industry. My father owns funeral homes and cemeteries up in Canada. Started back, I guess, first off, I've never really been employed by anyone, right? So I've had 3 other startups. Started off in the application sort of software development space. We were one of the first companies to ever write funeral home management software. And that was sort of before websites and I'll call it all the e-commerce and email and stuff. So it was an industry that was sort of way behind the time. And when I said, hey, we're starting a technology company in the funeral industry, everyone told me it was crazy, right? Because funeral directors will never use technology. I remember my dad, he would drive like probably 45 minutes to drop off obituaries at the local paper, but then they had coffee and their donuts and stuff. So it was an interesting sort of start for us. And really, I'll call it fast forward, we grew some different parts of that business. So we had like monster.com for the funeral industry. It was called funeralemployment.com. We had Funeral Wire. We had Memorial Cast, which was the first video, I'll call it streaming live for funeral homes. So let's say, for instance, I don't know, you had family in Australia, they couldn't come over when someone passed away. You could actually participate in the service through the actual viewing online. We sold that company to a publicly traded consolidator called Stewart Enterprises back in, I guess, early 2000. Spun another company out. So we were hosting our own applications, our websites, all that stuff. We started another company called Layer Technologies back in 2000. And that was, we owned data centers, did a lot of cloud computing. We were one of the first companies to, we were the first company to ever host WordPress. So, Barry and Matt, those guys, when Matt started the company, they had a couple servers with us. And then in 2014, when we sold that company, they had quite a few more servers with us.
Half the internet on it, pretty much.
I think about 60% plus. But yeah, we did a lot back in the day on PCI compliance, a lot with the federal government stuff. So we ended up, we're supposed to sell that company to Silver Lake Partners. what happened, a few different things. It's called personality conflicts. We ended up selling to DataPipe in 2014, who sold to Rackspace. So Rackspace is still existent today, publicly traded. Our federal unit is still within Rackspace today, operating. In 2014, I told my wife I was going to start another company, and she's like, "What are you doing? You're crazy, blah, blah, blah. Why can't you just sort of take a normal job?
Take a break." Yeah.
It's interesting because for me, I have 3 kids. I have 21, 17, and 5. So I'm not saying, but the only reason I even say that is because when we first started the original company, we had no money and all this credit card debt that we built the company with, and we found out we were pregnant. So in 2014, when I told her I'm starting another company, we just found out that we were pregnant again. Whoops. And she's like, this is a whole repeat. So, but again, I would, my personality is just, I wouldn't probably ever be happy going and working for someone doing that 9 to 5, right? That's not me. That's not how I'm wired, etc. So from that standpoint, I didn't always grow up in the best of health. I call it the fat kid, chubby kid when I was growing up. Nickname was Lumpy back in the day. Played sports, played a lot of hockey and wrestled and stuff. I just knew that sort of the relationship for food was pretty much eat anything I can. Hey, I need those calories. Working out, but didn't really know the science, I'll call it, behind the approach, right? And in 2014, I had a couple other friends that owned another meal prep company. I didn't like what they were doing. They had a lot of preservatives, a lot of different things in the meals. I was picky. So I met my partner, Danny, who was the head chef at the Omni Hotels. He ran the catering for Four Seasons, Marriott. So the background of his culinary expertise and then mine, sort of business, finance, sales, marketing, worked well together. So in 2014, we started Icon Meals and started doing custom meals out of a catering kitchen that we were renting. About 6 months later, we bought that, grew that to about 11,000 square feet, and it was pretty much running, I'll call it, we had about 85 people on top of 85 people 24/7 for a few years. In 2019, we took over this facility, which is roughly 32,000 square feet.
Wow.
And that's where we've been for the last couple of years. So again, just lots of exciting journey. Probably if I knew 6 years ago what I know now, I probably wouldn't be in the food space. But
well, it's like, this is why I love people sharing their stories, or even their origin stories, even more so, right? Like, I think so many people just see the results of these businesses, right? And they just think the entrepreneurs are made to happen, or it was sort of destined for them, or even like listening to your path, right? How it's sort of taken twists and turns from the funeral business to like building servers to now doing meal delivery services, right? Like, I think it's just really powerful for people to hear that, right? That there's never a direct path, and that there's struggles along the way, right? Like I have a 3 and a 1-year-old, right in the middle of starting Nobody Studios, right? There's struggles that people have, and I think it's always interesting to hear like how you've sort of had to cope with those. And maybe you just like having kids when you're going to start a new business. Maybe, who knows, that's your skill. I don't know. But you know, tell us a little bit about, especially you sort of alluded to like the meal business, right? This is an area that is exploding, especially through pandemic in many ways, right? The food delivery has gone on. And the only reason Uber is probably still afloat is because the actual delivery service just went through the roof, right? So tell us a little bit about the sort of syncrasies of the food business. What are some of the challenges that you got to deal with? What are some of the things you got to really push through that you think are maybe unique to this business, maybe as opposed to when you're in cloud computing or in the funeral?
I think just to mention, going back before I jump into that, I think one of the things that is commonality among the businesses I've had, my mentor and sort of past always said, hey, you got to have 2 things in business. One, you always have to have residual or recurring revenue. And I look at my funeral business with software revenue. My hosting business was recurring monthly revenue. And I look at food as recurring revenue, right? Because people aren't just, it's not a discretionary income that people are going to spend once a month and buying supplements, right? It's people typically buy every week. And if you're providing value to them, hopefully they'll buy week over week. So our rebuy rate's about 78 to 82% right now on a rebuy rate. But that's the thing. And then the second thing you always have to have is what I'll call a solution to a problem. So when I started Icon, I really look at the element of convenience as that solution to a problem. There was meal kit companies, the Blue Aprons and stuff, but that's all great. But at some point, we all live busy lifestyles, right? And it's that even that extra 15 to 20 minutes to prepare food, if not longer, if you can have food prepared for you that's chef prepared, 5-star, healthy, nutritious meals delivered to you within 1 to 3 minutes, that element of convenience giving you that time back to focus on what you're doing as a business busy entrepreneur, mom, etc. Right? That's the value add. So I think the difference in the food business to any other business I've had is I didn't know what I didn't know until I found out that I didn't know, right? And
Yeah.
that's really looking at, I'll call it like all the different regulation and things. And people today, it's probably my biggest frustration is that it's not apples to apples, right? There's all these meal prep companies popping up, and you don't know that, like, I'm not going to mention names, but there's another company that prepares food in I'll call it a strip club at night after hours.
Yeah.
That because the kitchen's cheaper, right? But the end consumer doesn't know because they've got some influencer showing them that, hey, these meals are great and they're getting paid and it's 5 cents cheaper, it's 50 cents cheaper, but they don't know the underpinnings of the background, right? So we made the decision early on to start where we're one of probably only a few kitchens in the US that has 100% their own raw room. So when I say raw room, like, we do everything internally. There's a lot of other companies out there today that don't cook their own food, right? They have
Just repackage in the supply chain and on it
goes.
goes.
Other people's food. So we wanted to, from day one, have 100% transparency, but also we wanted to control everything that comes in. So when I say raw room, so it comes into our kitchen and it starts. So we are trimming the fat, we're cutting the pieces, right? If it's brisket, it's hand stripped, etc. And then we're cooking, we're plating, we're cooling, we're packaging, we're shipping. So every single thing of how food is processed comes through us, right? It allows us to control. From that standpoint, then the only thing I don't control is when it leaves my dock to ship with FedEx or UPS, etc., whatever. But there's a lot of regulation. So for the last, I guess, 4 years, we were under state inspection. We just actually flipped to USDA. We've been under the USDA we've had for 2 years now, but again, we didn't flip to full USDA because of it just changes some things. All USDA allows you to do is allow you to sell outside of state lines through, I'll call it a wholesale channel, like a grocery store, et cetera, right? We're able to, so from that standpoint, it's a little bit more limiting because before we were able to cook till whatever, 2 o'clock in the morning, et cetera. Now you've got stringent hours of cooking certain proteins, certain things. So that's why a lot of people don't cook their own food, is because they're under those guidelines, which is hard. So we actually explored a year ago looking at, hey, can we expand through a co-manufacturer? But I couldn't, even after 8 months of them preparing our recipes, doing different things, I couldn't go with them because I couldn't put my label, my brand on what was being produced, right?
Interesting.
They wanted us to provide our chicken, this and that, because they didn't want to cook under the USDA guidelines. So again, there's a lot of different things, but it's how it's prepared. Even the packaging technology, right? Using vacuum seal to extend the shelf life. There's some other people that use skin pack with nitrogen flush, et cetera. I'm just not a big believer in putting gas in any food. So from the standpoint of that, I guess learning along the way what we couldn't do and making, I'll call it decisions that we could have, I'll call it cut a lot of corners, do a lot of different things to make more money. Always followed what's true to us. And again, we have that 100% transparency. We do lives into our kitchen, so they're going to see whatever the good, the bad, the ugly is. But again, always try to keep that upper echelon as far as quality and integrity. And I think that's one thing that's helped us along the way. But
well, it runs through everything I've seen in your business, right? Like I love this quality, authenticity, like giving people transparency into they can see what they're cooking, right? And you even mentioned about influencers as well, right? Where some businesses again are sort of saying pay to play. You don't do that, right? Like you're relying on people who are authentic fans of the product, and you have lots of them. Like I'm one of them, right? And it's just like fantastic how you're sort of like living these values that obviously matter to you and how they're showing up in everything, the constraints of the business you have to operate with, and you're making choices to try and own that end-to-end part of your supply chain, to do it right, to do it the way you want it, to do it openly, transparency. Even how you're marketing the business as well. And, actually people who want to advocate on your behalf do it, not paying for people to do it. So, because a lot of the times that's a bit bold move for some entrepreneurs, right? They feel like, well, hang on, I can get a big name to sort of sit on the, be on the front of the packaging, and I'll just give them a bag of money and that'll pump our sales. But you're saying no to that, and you're sticking to your sort of values and your principles here. So how do you get to those decisions? Because I think some people, they struggle with them, right? They're like, well, if I have to live up to a picture of what the world presents. So.
Yeah, I think for us, it's really looking at, we've got tons of people that have come to us and want us to partner, and we've got lots of people that want us to pay them lots of money to market our product, right? And from day one, we said, hey, I'm not looking for someone to take my product and the lime chicken you had and put it beside a workout bench and take pictures and different things, right? It's we want to work with good people, and I say good people, the people that find value in what we provide, and it enhances their everyday life, right? And I think once that is provided, they will organically share that to their followers, to their clients, to whatever, right? Because it adds value to their life. So from that, we have a model. Sure, we have a lot of people that make decent money on our affiliate program on a monthly basis through I'll call it a compensation commission model. And then we also provide value in kind, but value in kind to us is it's actually cash, right? So whether you're going to the grocery store and you're spending $500, $1,000 every couple of weeks, etc., there's that value. So again, it's that element I talked a bit earlier of convenience, right? Let's say Mike Cohorn. Mike's worked with me. He's one of my best friends, but he's worked with me for 6 years. So he travels all over the place, right? But for the convenience for him, if he's in Tennessee or he's in New York or California, whatever, and it's showing up in his hotel room or his home for him, and he just has to take them out, put them in the fridge, in the microwave, etc., there's a big element of convenience there that he values, right? And then his people see that value. So I think that's, I look at more our influencers almost like an extension of the Icon family, I'll say. So we've invested back into our influencers. So we've done masterminds. The only year we haven't done one is last year during COVID. But so I'll bring in people from my network. Like let's say we had Bedros Koulian, John Cheplak, Ryan Stewman, hardcore closer, Nick Sansoni, right? So different people to try to add value back into our influencers or affiliates' lives where they can then build their business, because in turn that helps us build our business. And I think that's, again, and we have we do a bunch of different events. We work out together. I think last one was closer to Halloween, so we did haunted houses and all this stuff. But we do a couple day events, and then we do what we call our block party. So our influencers, affiliates have they'll tell their audience, hey, meet and greets. We have a few thousand people at our headquarters. We had some of the Cowboys, different big personalities and stuff, but a great time, right? So that's how we built the model. It's interesting because we don't have any salespeople. So I've had
I love this. Right. This is it.
But again, I think, like you said, if I can have that authenticity, transparency that people see value in, and that you make them then your biggest fan, right? Or it's a lot easier because a lot of companies you'll see like the Blue Aprons and stuff, and they spend tons of money on cold market customer acquisition, right? But on the back end, that CAC is crazy. And for me, like they say, hey, we got a great ROAS. Well, great, you got a great ROAS, but I also need an ROI, not just a ROAS, right? So I need cash at the end of the month. So for us, it's looking at if we can get into our affiliates and influencers and really leverage, I'll call it what their warm market is, it becomes not cold market acquisition anymore, right? It's looking at getting into warm market, retargeting, that loyalty, that trust, that the brand awareness, that confidence is built with that relationship. And that's what we've tried to leverage over the years. So again,
it's brilliant because people can tell, right? Like customers can tell like when people are being themselves and they're being authentic about something. Right. And I love these sort of counterintuitive sort of approaches, like where they're like, no, we don't have a sales team. I always, Atlassian were the same. I love the way that they never had a sales team. They would just believe that the product was good enough. And if people loved it, they'll tell their friends about it. And off you go. There's your flywheel. And so, listening to even the events that you're describing, they're just sort of encouraging the flywheel to keep going because you're bringing more people together that are passionate. Maybe your product might be one part of it, but passionate about food, health, and all of these people sort of come together, do masterminds so they learn from one another. There's a whole bunch of value that you're bringing there to people. And I think, it's just a great lesson for folks to think about is there's so many of, you go to business school and you're told like you need a marketing plan, you need a marketing budget, you need a sales team, you need to go out and knock on doors, But I think this world that we're operating in, whether it's social media, whether it's the ability to connect with your customers in real time, for people to love your products, to advocate and share on your behalf, right? That is gold. That is pure gold. And I think, again, it's a good instantiation of the values you're trying to put into the business, the way you're running it. And I just love sharing people with that. All right. So one more question I'm going to ask you then is what's been the toughest part then of the journey to date? So you're 6 years up and running. You've grown from you say 11,000 square feet to massive building that you have now today. What can you think of one of those sort of key inflection moments where you were like, oh God, it's all over, and you were able to find a way to push through?
Well, I think there's a lot of different points that come to mind. Like I think a couple of them, you need to surround yourself with great people, right, to build a business. So it's not just hey Todd or it's Danny or it's again surrounding yourself with good people, but then also empowering them and enabling them to make those decisions on their own. I think one of the things which has been, I'll call it saving grace for me, but also sometimes the downfall is I'm not a big micromanager, right? So I'm not going to micromanage people, and I tell them that from day one. I want to put them in the environment, and we want to create the environment that allows them to succeed. And I feel like so many people, when they start up a company or stuff, they say, hey, this has to be perfect or that has to be perfect before we act on it. And our saying in here is better is perfect, right? If we can work on being better every single day, because we're not perfect and we don't want perfect people, right? But if we can be better just that 1% in every element of our business and every element of personal life, then we are getting closer to being perfect. And I think for us, it's been, for me, a big thing is investing back in my team. So we do like challenges, 30-day challenges, 60-day challenges, where I say I want to create an environment that's an excuseless business. Right? I don't know if that's a word, but I don't want to have
you've just branded it.
I don't want to have anyone selling or buying their own excuses. So when we put like a challenge together, I pay for the food. I put trainers in place. We put yoga sessions in place. We did body testing. We did group workouts. We just actually last weekend did a mud run with 18 of our executives. So again, different people putting things in place to invest back in them, because I think when your mind's stronger and your body's stronger, your actual business skills are stronger. And I think the second thing is would be when certain things, like you said, hey, the end of the world, right? The first time ever in the food business that I got sued, I was like, what the hell is going on? This is crazy, because like I'm an integrous guy. We're not doing anything wrong. But I talked to the lawyer, and the lawyer's like, look, as you grow, you're in this industry where everyone thinks, and you're a target, right? You're an ambulance chasing target. So it was like, you have to refine and say, is this going to impact my business in the next like year, hour, 5 minutes, and take that down into micro steps. Step back and look at the bigger picture, and then just move forward on. I have that mentality of whatever it takes, right? Whatever it takes, we're going to get through it. It's just, hey, if we're not going to go through it, maybe we're going to put a ladder up and go over top of it. But there's always a solution to get around or over a problem. It's just internalizing that, breaking it down, I'll call it taking it into the pieces, and then looking at, hey, what are those solutions for those pieces to get around? And for us, it's like that Rubik's Cube. It's for 6 years, it's been trying to screw that Rubik's Cube together. And we'll get one side, maybe another side and a half, and then something takes you back where, I don't know, 2 of the corner pieces fall off or something. But again, you're just constantly playing with that Rubik's Cube, mixing those pieces up.
Yeah, no, I love it. Great analogies. But I think this idea of like constantly investing in yourself, in the team, in ways for everybody to improve, like giving all the support structures there. I think for me, that's always such a huge tell of great companies, right? Like so many people say our talent is our asset, or people are our asset, but they're not like putting investment into that asset or creating systems to help them be successful. So no, I love hearing that. And it's like a fantastic sort of advice for everybody. So listen, it's been absolutely amazing to have you on, drop a few of your fun navigation through life and startups and childbirth as well. It's always good to see those things come together. Where can people learn more about Icon Meals and give it a shot themselves?
Yeah, so iconmeals.com, go there, see lots of different food, different things. But from a standpoint on any social media platform, it's at Icon Meals. So I tell everyone, follow us on Instagram. We do a lot of giveaways. We have a lot of, I'll call it food porn and different things. If you're a food connoisseur, follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, but majority of stuff's probably done through IG. We're building up our YouTube, but everything's at Icon Meals. So
yeah. Definitely. Well, look, as I said, this is literally what I'm going to go enjoy next, folks. Like I've been saying, I'm back-to-back Zoom meetings all day. This has been perfect, where I like throw it in the microwave, a couple of minutes, and I feel like I'm actually not just eating chocolates and all that bad stuff when you're just under pressure. I actually feel healthy and well. So, Todd, it's been awesome. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Congratulations again with the deal. I think it's the first of many that you're going to keep hustling and keep doing more. So, a real pleasure.
I appreciate the opportunity, Barry. Thanks it was great talking to you today.